Welcome to the Coop Tank. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, coming to you from SuiteRecording in beautiful Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And I'm here with my producer, Joe. And I got to tell you, Joe, I'm driving earlier today, and I heard some Dave Matthews Band. And I like the Dave Matthews Band. But I have some friends who go, oh, he sucks and he's overrated. And I was thinking about bands that are overrated. And I got to tell you, to me, and I like them, they're not bad, but they're overrated, it's Depeche Mode. I don't know why they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, they're in, but Motley Crue isn't. I mean, seriously, Styx, Kansas, and Boston aren't. I mean, they're okay, but their fans are annoying. They're like, hey, we're going to see My Own Personal Jesus, the tribute band, ooh, Depeche Mode. And I just think they're overrated. So, Joe, who's an overrated band to you?
Oh, Coop, I hate to say it, man, because they're a really talented group of individuals, and like they each did really well, like solo stuff, but I just was never a big fan of the Eagles, man. I gotta say it. I mean, like, they're really good. They have great harmonies. Some of the songs are catchy, but I don't know. I just like, there's something about them that I just think is a little bit overhyped.
That's okay. And Hotel California is such a pretentious overrated. If I hear that, I turn it every time I hear it. It's like, I'll listen to Life in the Fast Lane. But, you know, Joe, I'm going to tell you this. You know what's not overrated is SuiteRecording. So tell the viewers and listeners a little more about SuiteRecording.
Yeah, thanks, Coop. So at SuiteRecording, we are a recording studio and a podcast studio in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, where we help brands and businesses to leverage the power of podcasts and video content. So podcasting is a great tool, surely, for creating a lot of content like podcasts, video clips, blog posts, newsletters, and a lot more for your marketing. But it's also great for business development in the way that you can use it to strengthen your network relationship with clients, prospects, strategic partners, lots of possibilities with the way that you can build relationships through the medium of podcasting. So we can help you with everything from strategy all the way through to recording, production, and publication. So if you're looking to learn more, then you can contact us anytime at hello@suiterecording.com or visit us on the web at suiterecording.com. That's SUITE. Take it away, Coop.
All right, we have a great show today, but before I get to my guests, and they're all returning guests, and it's an all-female panel, and you know I love having the all-female panels, but I want to give a shout-out to my sponsors, Laurel Lanes. You know, Laurel Lanes is the ultimate entertainment center. They have 60 lanes of bowling. They have a state-of-art arcade games. They have a private luxury suite. They have something for everyone, and they're great for corporate events, birthday parties, or just a night out with your friends. And also, they have an on-site restaurant. It's called Splits Bar and Grill, and I actually do a networking event there called Cocktails with Cooper, and when you do your first networking event there, you get 10%. They give 10% back to your charity of choice. And if you go during the week, they have a great happy hour every Monday through Friday from 4 to 7. Great deals on food and drinks. And they also have fun events during the month like karaoke and beer pong and trivia with Diane. And then it gets a little better as you're leaving. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Lickety Splits. Lickety Splits is their on-premise ice cream parlor. They have homemade concoctions, I guess, homemade creations. And they even some have alcohol ones. And I've had the butter pecan bourbon, and it's really good. So please go check out Laurel Lanes and Splits. They're on Route 73 in Maple Shade, New Jersey. You can check them out at laurelLanesNJ.com. All right, check them out. Anyway, we have a great show. As I said, they're three of my favorite people. I'm not just saying that because they're here. I'm not lying. I always like seeing them when I see them at events or I see them online. They always make me smile. And first, from Collingswood, Haddonfield, Haddon Heights, Living, it's Grace Hopper. How you doing, Grace?
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me. So excited to be here.
All right. And from A6 Financial and Business Organization. And I wear the A6 FinBiz shirt a lot. It's my good friend, Stacey Linderman. How you doing, Stacey?
Great. I'm excited to be back.
All right. And then from Coldwell Banker Realty, my friend KB, that's why I call her KB, Kristie Bergey. What's up, Kristie?
Hi, Steve. Awesome. Everything's great. Good to be here.
All right. So, Grace, tell us a little more about what you do and your company.
Sure. So I publish 3 micro-targeted, hyper-local direct mailers that go out in the towns of Collingswood, Haddon Heights, and Haddonfield. Essentially, it's a resource for the community that's mailed monthly, connecting the community with their residents, the resident stories, what's happening in real estate, what's happening in food, what's happening in new business, what's happening in events. And I think what makes it special is just that it's totally relevant about their backyard. But in addition to that, I work with 150 local businesses to help them connect to the communities that they want to serve or serve more of, by helping them with both the print. And in addition to that, we also do some digital. But I think one of the things that makes us different from some of the others in the industry is just that the storytelling component is something where we've taken kind of a model that works really well and then put it on steroids by going really deep with our content and telling authentic stories that are real and from the heart. And then from a business standpoint, we know from the data that the human brain retains brands 65% more when connected to a story. So one of the things that we do really well is we sit down with our business partners and we come up with a strategy of what that story is, and then, getting it out to these communities so that they can be top of mind and have a connection and build that loyalty and trust that is just so critical for businesses to build with their consumers.
Okay, great. And then how about you, Stace? Tell me a little more about A6 FinBiz.
Um, we're a CFO on retainer company, so that's a finance officer for business to business. We don't do any direct to consumer work. So our companies are amazing at what they do. They specialize in the operations, and we are outsourced if they need someone to help them with their finances and their risk and their growth or buying, selling, that type of thing.
Okay. KB, tell us a little about Coldwell Banker Realty.
There's an international real estate firm. I am an associate broker here in Philadelphia, out of their Philadelphia Old City office. I work with residential and commercial people who are looking to buy, in the residential or commercial areas. So Coldwell Banker's been around for a really long time. We're a large, huge organization, and it's been wonderful being with them for the last 2 years.
Okay. So we all have different paths to how we got there. I know, Kristie, you've been in realty and you've been jumped around companies, everyone does. And, this is new to you, Grace and Stacey. I know you were back in the corporate world. But Stacey, what was your path to ending up, running your own business at A6 Fin?
Yeah, I actually was a CFO in a company for, many years, and I come with 25 years of experience, like you said, in corporate America. I started out in the legal type of field, and then the numbers were my passion. So I was in either the director of budget role, VP of finance, CFO seat, like I said, for many, many years. And I then took the launch to do it on my own. There's quite a few CFO type of companies out there where people were either a bookkeeper for a couple years or they want to be a CFO, so they started their own company. But I actually was a CFO, and now I bring this specialty to small to mid-sized businesses.
Okay. KB, what was your role? How'd you get into realty? I know I've known you as a realtor, but I know you've been doing it for a long time. But what was your path to getting into becoming a realtor?
Well, I'm ready. Remember the old books that you used to get at the diners that had all the real estate listings in it? It was a freebie. It's still sometimes you can find them in Wawa. I used to read those at dinner when I little girl. Started asking my dad to grab it off the top shelf so I have something to at dinner. And I in getting involved in real estate, and my path professionally actually allowed me to do that when I was working at retailers square feet throughout Puerto Rico and Canada, and the US. So I got to really understand real estate at a very high level and a very detailed level. And I like both sides of the commercial world as much as I like the residential side. So I'm able to put those two together for my clients to help them understand what they're buying and what pitfalls might come with purchasing, grandma's house, or how great grandma's house is to purchase, and to do the work yourself. And so that was my path. And and then my other thing is my dad made me get my license. I said, I think I want to be a realtor, but I don't want to take the test. And he's like, I'll pay for it. Get it done. So that's helpful, right?
Oh yeah, okay. So Grace, what was your path to running a news pub? I mean, it's a news publication, basically. It's a magazine. How did you end up running a magazine?
Yeah, it's I guess like a lifestyle publication. Well, Steve, my entire life have been in the media sector, selling digital commercials, billboards, and what really drew me into this product is about 4.5 years ago, I stumbled on it, and it's really such an industry disruptor in the sense that it's able to cut noise. Just because the average consumer sees between 4,000 and 10,000 advertisements a day now with phones, computers, streaming, Spotify, billboards, like we're just inundated with noise. And I thought this was such a neat product because it has the ability to actually be looked at, which is something that it's difficult to achieve in 2024, to find something that people are paying attention to, and how do you get them to stop and actually engage. And so this was cool. But in addition to not just thinking that aspect of it was cool, but I loved the idea of course, working for myself. I have 2 small kids at home. I wanted to be able to be on deck with them. But it allows me the opportunity to really move and shake within these communities. I'm constantly out getting to know every Tom, Dick, and Harry in South Jersey. And I feel like, in a lot of ways, that's just the perfect role for me because I'm kind of a social butterfly. But the product itself, I really had a strong belief in the value that it actually delivers to my business partners, and what it's brought to the community has just been the cherry on top, because they really tend to give a lot of fanfare to receive a free mailer about what's happening locally each month. And I think that it truly does kind of connect the community, by allowing people to kind of put down their phones and feel closer to the good news that's happening within the neighborhood. And I think that that's been something special. And it's been a testament to the growth that we've had over the past 4 years. It's been super exciting.
Okay, I'm going to stay with you for this question because I was going to ask this question later, but because you just brought it up, I'll ask it now. See, that's how you do segues, people. That's how you do segues. That's good interviewing. What you do is, community. How important to you, we'll start with Grace and we'll go around, but how important to you is community and our business groups in the development of your brand?
Sure. Well, I think it's everything, because in business, to really separate yourself in a crowded market, you need to be able to show people that you're not transactional. And so that's really about investing, the time and the sweat equity into showing people that you care. And, last year I was the president of the Collingswood Rotary because I really wanted to not just talk the talk, I wanted to walk the walk. And I really wanted to immerse myself in the town. And I wanted to make relationships that were beyond surface deep. And I think as most of us know, what ends up happening is organically, by really actually putting your heart in the community, you just organically see growth from that by just being a good person and showing up and treating people the way that, they deserve to be treated, and friendships blossom, and it's a beautiful thing. And it starts with just, a lot of times the relationships, obviously. And so I think community is at the core of that. And for me, my business is all about, a strong amount of activity. And I know if I'm out and I'm, kissing babies and shaking hands, and I'm with, everybody in town on a regular basis, good things always happen in that space for me. So that's been instrumental in the growth of my business.
Okay, funny story about Grace Hopper. I was meeting Grace for coffee at the Groove Ground in Collingswood, and I said, "You really need to meet this guy, Michael Trainer from Coffee News." I said, "You're not competitors, but you guys can help each other." And no lie, like 4 minutes later, strutting down street in Collingswood, Haddon Avenue, is Michael Trainer. It's just weird how that happens.
And we're best buds now, which is so funny because you would think we sort of compete. We don't at all. And he's salt of the earth guy. And I appreciate that connection. That was awesome, Steve.
He's my nemesis. Anyway, Kristie, I know you're involved. A lot in community. I see you posting stuff. Why is community important to you? And also, why are networking, like when you get out, like the Union League and stuff, why are they important to you?
Well, first of all, I think community is so important because in my world and what I do is I view it as family. Like my especially at the league, but especially also within my own neighborhood. I mean, we see each other walking the dogs every morning, and you check in, right? And you see how people are doing, and the businesses are on the main street. Who's coming, hearing what's going on in the neighborhood. That also helps me be a really good realtor at any point in time for anyone. So it's like, this is coming to to Girard Avenue. This is happening on Fairmount. That makes me seem knowledgeable. And it is knowledge, right? But I think that the important piece is that I'm always just out there trying to do what is right, and it really helping others more than it's actually helping myself. And I think the byproduct of that is a lot like Grace, is that it kind of comes back at you tenfold when you are out there doing the right thing. So people with whatever, even if you're not charging them to do X, Y, and Z. I mean, I help my neighbors out all the time with programs that are available through the city to help them with a roof leak or, problems with their stoop. And I say, did you know about this? Because a lot of people don't have access. I do. And the Union League, as you mentioned, is one of the biggest institutions in Philadelphia that also provides community awareness and civil service to the outside of our four walls. So we're out there educating on things that are not being taught anymore in school. And I'm very excited to be a part of that community because I do love the country that we live in. And I do love the rights that we have as Americans, that it's very not common in other countries. And I like the fact that we support that, support the country. So that's my community. And they, again, are like family to me.
I like the Union. I went to the Eagles parade at the Union League. It was great because we didn't have to stand outside. My mother-in-law was a member, so I went with her. And as soon as the parade came, we ran out, yay! And we went back in and we kept drinking. It was great.
You got lucky you even got there.
I know. So Stacey, and now Stacey's in my community because I've seen her at the gym. I've seen her at ShopRite. I saw her not use her blinker at a stop sign, but we'll talk about that another time. And I only knew because I saw her car had the A6 fin biz in the back. But how important is community to you and the groups you get involved with? How important are they to you with your brand and with your business and you?
It really has become priceless, shockingly to me, because when I started out networking, it was important to meet people, and it was talking about my services, talking about their services, understanding what people do. I often have people that call me and need a referral for this or that. So I was like the kid in the candy store getting cards to say, oh, this person does bond covenants. I may need a client that needs that one day. But it grew into a lot more. I mean, Steve, I just even feel like from like our relationship or how excited I get when I run into Grace at something, they become your local family, like the people that keep you going. So as like a business owner, I mean, it could sort of be lonely. Like I have, our small boutique team, but I come from a background where you worked with literally thousands of people and you had a team of at least 20, direct reports type of thing. So you always had someone to talk to brainstorm with. And then you sort of lose that a little bit when you go out on your own, and then you meet people like yourself and you're no longer alone. You could say, this is what's going on in my business. What's going on in your business? What do you think about this? How did this land? Or just having someone that understands how you're driven by cash flow and like conversations. It just keeps me going. I think the local business groups have been such a hidden gem for me on multiple levels, multiple levels.
Okay. All right. So we're in, it's 2025. It's so crazy to say that. I kept, because I do this thing on Facebook. I always talk about albums that came out and I kept screwing it up because I thought it was 2024 and I put like 42 years ago, and someone's like, Steve, it was 43 years ago. I'm like, holy shit, it's 2025. So talking that it's 2025, we'll start with you, Kristie. Have you set goals for 2025? Do you have goals you want to work on, or are you just taking it
Absolutely.
as it is? So tell me some of your
They're
goals.
right on the wall, right over there. Absolutely. I start setting my goals for the next year. I start planning in August of that year for the following year and have it solidified by October of like really, this is what I can accomplish. This is what has accomplished. What I'm foreseeing my 2024 looking like. So I think 2025 can look like this. But absolutely, I set goals all the time. And you can also have daily goals. And especially when you're busy or you stop to think about it, one of the daily goals that I want to really get back into is I was really good at the handwritten notes to just almost anybody. It didn't have to be a client, could have been a friend, could have been anything.
You froze, Kristie.
So I was realizing that I did my cards. They were actually New Year's cards. Was that? Oh,
No,
did
you
I freeze?
You froze. Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was just saying that I did my holiday cards, but as New Year's cards this year. And that was a good new thing that I was really excited to do moving forward. And I did it to all of my clients from 2024. And that was also really fun because I got to say extra thank yous to them in the card. And then it made me think, I need to make sure I have their birthdays. I want to send birthday cards. So little things that mean a lot to people, I find out about after I've done them, is something that I really want to focus on, the little things this year, not just the big stuff.
My wife, Joanne, gets the Christmas cards. She makes them, but it always pisses me off because it says Joanne and Steve Cooper. And on our little stamper, it says Joanne and Steve Cooper. I'm like, yeah, but I'm Cooper. Like, she goes by Joanne Butaro Cooper. I'm like, why is it Joanne and Steve? It should be Steve and Joanne Cooper. It's just, yeah, I'm a sexist misogynist, people. That's what I am because I want it that way. So, Stacey, goals 2025. Have you set any?
Yes, I'm a huge goal setter, but Steve, you posted yours on LinkedIn and they were powerful.
First I've ever done that.
You're knocking us out of the park. I am a really goal-oriented person. I do a New Year's resolution almost every year, and to me, the New Year's resolution is, it's a promise to yourself. So if you're not keeping that, like, oh wow, we're really in trouble here. But this year was very different for me. It wasn't it wasn't as materialized. It wasn't as nitty gritty in terms of like, okay, this amount of follow up or outreach or exercises or the gym it was more getting back to remembering why I started the company, and getting some of my balance back. I tend to be a workaholic, and I know that that's something that I do. I love what I do, and then I just keep going and going and going. And one of the reasons why I started my own business was to get some balance in my life and to be healthier. And I found myself over this last year losing that, like just working the crazy long days like I did in corporate America, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I need to learn to slow myself down. And so this year I'm trying to get back to my roots a little bit.
Okay, how about you, Grace? Because your company's grown a lot. I mean, and since I've known
You
you,
know
your
what,
company's
Steve?
grown.
It's a wild stat that I just got this morning. We grew by 58% last year. So that was awesome in 2024. We would love to just stay on that trajectory. But I think for me, after being at this a little bit, I try to just kind of look for small wins. Like, we always want to continue to grow, but to keep that quality over quantity, mantra. And I think just showing up in the world and being intentional about my time and kind of how I spend it. I think when I started my business, I ran myself ragged and I went to everything. I said yes to everyone. And that was awesome. It helped launch me into the world in a really big way. But I think now I'm starting to refine that a little bit and figure out, how to also protect the time at home, which is the reason that I started my own business, was so that I could, be present with the family. And as you go, just like Stacey said, it's easy just to get work obsessed and want to, it totally consumes you. I dream about the business. But I'm trying to, find that boundary and also like fill my cup up when I'm not working, so that when I am working, I can, be the best version and really try to find an approach that is really working really efficiently and smarter, instead of just like I said at the beginning, where I was just kind of a chicken with my head cut off. So definitely refining it and trying to be strategic in that way. And then, just like everyone's kind of said on the call, Kristie, loved the thank you notes. I saw that on Instagram by Jesse Itzler. He wrote that, and I thought that was fantastic, because I think that that's very underrated in 2024, 2025. But just self-care. Like I try to get up, I try to get to my hot yoga, and I try to do all the things that, really make me feel the best, so that I can go out and run the business the most optimal. But yeah, just to continue to try to stay healthy, so that I can, continue to see that type of growth, which was tremendous for us. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now we talked about 2025. Let's go back to 2024. I always laugh when I go into LinkedIn and I see someone, it's so freaking narcissistic. They put there like, oh, what I've learned from last year, what I've learned. They tell you what they've learned. And well, here's your takeaways. Say, how the fuck do you know my takeaways? Like, you don't even know me. But that was what I've learned from 20. Oh, and then I learned how to restructure my whole business for one thing, what I learned. That being said, Stacey, what is something you have learned from 2024 when you look back at business, something you've learned? And don't be, you're not a narcissist. You're not one of these people, hey, look. And they always have a picture of them in a bright shirt, like with some bullshit pose. But what's something you've learned, looking back in the last year, learned about business or yourself?
I That's a really hard question. I mean, I learn something new every day, every month, every year there's something. Um, I remember in 2022, it was the power of the books you read. That every book has. It's like a $10 book is worth $1,000 in training. And 24, it was the importance of 23 was the importance of, like, I already had a goal divided in my context to, like, it wasn't always about meeting new people. It was about staying in touch with the people that you've already fostered relationships. Um, I think 24 was the power of a squad. One of your podcasts, you talked about me and my squad. It was an interview with a couple of the ladies, and I think that's so important for me. Your inner circle. Your inner circle. Yeah, kind of like what I said, what I was getting out of the networking, that just like the group, like how we have a group that we always go to. And yeah, I think that the power of your squad.
Okay, that's a good one. Kristie, what is just something you learned in 2024? Because you're on my networking all the time. We network all the time. What is something you've learned in 2024?
What I've learned in 2024 is the power of people. And I think a lot with what Stacey says, the people you're surrounded by hate you, and they really do intend to help, but we need to make sure that we're doing it back for them as well. And I use the analogy of, we need to keep them fed and watered, and keep them close, and just appreciate and tell them that they're appreciated.
Okay. How about you? How about you there, Grace Hopper? What's something you've learned looking back in 2024?
Yeah, well, the whole trip, Steve, like the Grateful Dead song, I always like to say, what a weird, strange trip it's been. Is that correct? What a long, strange trip it's been.
I'm not a deadhead. I've never done
What
acid.
a long, strange trip it's been, Steve. No, I think for what I do, like I deal with so many people. Like I'm like out there with the masses. And I think early on, and this isn't just last year, this is really my career. What I'm like really starting to learn the most is that when you work with the general public, like I tend to take on all of their stuff. Like I tend to like bring it in and then like process it where like it comes home with me and I carry it. And a lot of times, like in my field, it's not really about like other people's stuff isn't always, most of the time, it's never about me. And so like not taking responsibility for, people having a bad day, because like I face a lot of rejection in my work, and sometimes people can be really mean. Just I'm saying like out in the world, because a lot of what I do, I continue to like prospect and cold call, and like I have to be out and be active all the time, and that's kind of the grassroots of my business. That I have to continuously do and like never get too big of an ego to not do. And so I think over time I've learned to kind of just turn off the noise and realize that there's like partners that value the work that I do that I want to align with, and I want to move forward with those people. And the people that aren't, right for my business, like you got to learn to let them go and not like take it so personally. And then, like continue to grow with the right people, and like amazing things happen. And I think coming into my business, like I didn't know who those people were. I didn't know who the right people were. I didn't know who the wrong people were. So just a learning curve of figuring out like, okay, these are the people that like make a really great partner for me. How can I add most value instead of kind of like going after the wrong fit, if that makes sense. And then it becomes sort of like toxic to me, like, just in general, because it never feels good when you're in a situation where, it's not a fit, but it just takes years to learn what that fit is. And so I think just being strategic now, as I've become more seasoned, is the direction that I'm headed for 2025.
Okay. So here's a point where you get to talk about yourself. We're not on LinkedIn. Once you go back to LinkedIn, everyone's telling me how great they are. That's all I see on LinkedIn these days. It's like everyone tells you how great you are. Never sits there and goes, you know what, my life sort of sucks. It's funny. We run into, everyone's giving you advice on business. They never give you advice on life. Like I do Coop's Comedy Corner. It's a show I do for a comedy train wreck out of Philly. And my guest the other night is an older guy, but he's been on HBO. He's been on Broadway. He's been on TV. He's worked forever. And he had to cancel because he was getting evacuated. Okay, he's lives in Pacific Palisades. But no one ever tells you how to deal with that shit. No one ever tells you to deal with that stuff. They always just tell us how great they are. And so I want you to tell me what makes you great, because you're all on the show. Kristie, what is a part of your personality that you're really proud of? That you sit there and you can pat yourself on the back, as my mom would say, pat yourself on the back. Spout out a personality trait that you think is great about yourself and you're really glad that you have.
I'm always positive. I will always be positive. I will always find a way to solve the problem and put a smile on, no matter how hard it is. We'll get it done, but I'm always positive.
Okay, that's a good one. Grace, how about you? What's a little thing about you that you're proud of?
I think for me, Steve, like what I've found has come really natural, that I've realized that not everyone has. It took me a while to realize that it is a superpower, is just the ability to really make these pretty deep, authentic connections pretty fast. I mean, I'm able to kind of meet anyone from any walk of life and, find that common denominator and make a lot of friends. I don't always leave with a business partnership, but I always leave with a friend. And I think that that's something that is a little bit of a superpower of mine.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's always a good one. And how about you, Stace?
What you see is what you get. I don't have another layer. I'm not thinking anything negative when I'm talking to someone. I'm never judging anyone. Non-judgmental would be one. But I just think what you see is what you get. Like I actually am very authentic.
Okay, that's always good.
I probably learned that in 2023 and 2024, that was a difference that was something that was kind of like standing out.
Okay, I'm very judgmental. Like Hoda Coffee retired today. I can't stand her. My wife's like, "Why do you hate her?" I just don't like her. I think she's like
Well,
she's
you
a
and I really are funny together. We'll say, "Oh, look at that."
yeah,
But
but
but not, I mean, besides like the occasional like joking, like you and I are joking, but you're not a judgmental person in terms of you don't look at someone and automatically label them or have a predisposed, like there's no prejudice.
yeah, unless it's Gus the groundhog, and I hate him. But that's just me. So, so okay, we're going to stay now. We're going to stay with this stream we're going on where we said, what you liked about yourself. What is something? Okay, and we'll stay with you, Stacey. What is something you need to improve on? Do the flip side. This is your authentic script. But what is something you need to improve on?
Listening more.
Okay.
I do listen, but there's times where I catch myself where I think, shut up and listen. You didn't need to. I constantly, like, that was one of my lists for 2025. Like, and it's probably on my list every year, but just you learn more when you listen.
Okay. How about you, Kristie? What's something that you have to improve on?
I really need to improve on the myself taking emails that are hard to read and putting it on me as maybe something that I did or didn't do. I need to read things. I need to step away. I need to come back, reread them before I answer and before I have a knee-jerk reaction to something that may not be as big of a deal as I had first read it to be.
Okay. How about you, Grace?
I think for 2025, I would love to see myself be more disciplined with time management, just, getting out there earlier in the day and making a plan the day before and executing it and just really staying more true to that and not being, sometimes I'm a little all over the place and I've got a million balls in the air and I want to be more strategic so that I can maximize that time.
Okay. So, as I told the listeners, viewers in the beginning, that there's an all-female panel, and I do this probably once a month. I do it when I can. And the reason I do this is, and I've told the story before, is my mom graduated Temple University in 1952. Okay. She grew up with immigrant parents in Northeast Philly, and she had a degree in marketing. She was the only woman in her marketing classes. It was all, back then a lot of women didn't work. In fact, she waited, I'm the youngest. Okay. Now think about it. She waited until she was 33 to have me. She waited until she was 28 to have kids. So she was a woman in when it was a man's world. And I still sometimes do think it is a man's world. Even we can say it's changing. There is a lot of misogyny out there, and we can't hide that. I mean, it's getting better. But as women, and one thing I like about the South Jersey, Philly area, there's a lot of great women groups. People run events, whether it be Maria Grande or Kelly at the mattress store or Beach, Melissa Beach, or Nabo. There's a lot of women's groups which are important. So how important do you think it is for women to have each other's back in the business world? Grace, what do you think? Why is it important for women to have each other's back? Because you're all three of you are basically business owners. So why is it important to have each other's back?
Yeah, I mean, I love the women-owned angle. I think even though the world has changed a lot, women-owned businesses still are the minority. I see it every day with my client base. I mean, I work with 150 small to medium-sized businesses locally, and I'm kind of sad to tell you that probably less than a quarter are women-owned. So I think that tells us right there that, we're definitely still the minority and that it's important, because I think women in a lot of ways are stronger in business than men. I think we're seeing that all the time, that like women are taking the lead in the family. And that, as that continues to evolve for my daughters, we need to support each other and cheer for each other and advocate for each other. And just like anything else in the world, a rising tide lifts all ships. And I absolutely love supporting my women in business counterparts.
Okay. How about you, Kristie? Do you see it? What is your take on that?
My take is we do not see enough of that. Women not supporting each other. And I have been in business for over 20 years, but I've also been in corporate for another almost 20 years prior to that. And women have not supported each other through my career. And so I think to answer your question, why it's so important is because it hasn't been consistent. It's been opposite. And I'm happy when women do support each other. But I also feel sometimes that women are not as, what's the word I'm looking for? They tend to not be as transparent and get to the point and realize that it's just business as men do, which then creates another bone of contention or emotions that I just feel like plays into why women are not supportive of one another, because they've triggered something. And business, it's business. Let's get it done. Let's work together. Let's support each other through the process. But at the end of the day, it's our clients. It's making each other better.
Okay. How about you, Stacey?
I think there could be a show just on this, Steve. So if we go back, I don't even want to say 10, 15 years ago. I mean, it's not uncommon even today, in corporate America, there's sometimes one seat at the table for a female. Okay. So if you have a leadership team of 13 people and there's one opportunity for a woman, consequently, the women are competing with each other for this seat. And I have seen that, and it's not, it's I want to say it's gotten better, today, but that sort of was the history, that it was, just say a male-owned business, and they were like, oh, well, let's have the token female in the room. And there was that competition. But we could go on and on about that. But in terms of like women supporting women in networking groups, or just, it doesn't have to be a solely women networking group. For me, it's honesty and transparency. Not in terms of business things, but in terms of that it's hard. So when you get in a room with other women, or even if it's a very diverse room, and you're there with another female, and you're like, oh gosh, I got to get home. I have this to do. I have that to do. I have a kid that has a doctor's appointment, and then I have to do, maybe paperwork for this and drop off in the morning before a meeting. And you have this whole list of things that you're juggling in addition to your job or running a business, and the other female that has 2 3 kids and is like, oh no, I have everything, that it's fine. And it's not always fine. We put on this aura of everything's great, I'm doing great, I'm doing great. And if you're not honest about, yes, it's hard. Juggling is hard. I had to drop off kids before this. I'm going to, I have to figure out what I'm doing with sports or this or that. It's isolating for other women that are trying to balance the workload if others are not speaking up and saying, yes, it is a challenge. We get it. There's times where I'm, rushing. I take a break at like 5, 6 o'clock, and I'll run downstairs and just make sure everyone's set for dinner or whatever. I don't want to make it like I'm cooking for my family every night, but then I'm like, okay, make sure we have food in the house, make sure that everything is set. And then you come back to the office at like 7 o'clock. As a mother, and not, I'm sure fathers have this too, but as a mother, it's okay, work, one form of work has to stop, and then you have your other job that you're still doing. It's a lot. And there's times where you're like, is this crazy? The pressure is just like nuts. And so it helps me when I get together with, my other female leaders, and we go, yep, it's a lot. Yep, you're not alone.
Okay, that's a very good answer. And I don't have kids, so I don't deal with that. And I do cook, though. I cook very good meals. It's very cheap, very good deal. I always get the deal. I shop a lot. So, okay, now we're going to talk another part of it with women in the workplace. We're going to get to networking later, but we're getting networking right now. Now, I run, as you know, Cocktails with Cooper, and I was irritated. I'll be honest, irritated because someone told me, a female I know, that a guy hit on her at my event. And that pissed me off because my event is not like, hey, let's go get laid. My event is, hey, let's go make business contacts. And it bothered me. And I've seen it at other events where guys, like, they're just scoping, like, you know how it is. I mean, you walk in, the guys, he's just talking to you to, like, see if, oh, are you married? He's probably looking at your left hand to see if you have the engagement ring. And now, have you run into that at all? Have you run into any of just the, and I call it sexism. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm using the wrong term. But Stacey, if you ran into that at an event where someone, as you say, transparent, someone's just sitting there talking to you because they think you're good looking or they think that maybe they have a chance with you. Have you run into that at all over the years?
Well, I think that women of today are just as much out there looking. I think it goes both at the events, right? I'm surprised where I'll look over and I'm thinking, is she hitting on him? Like, what is going on at this event? So I'll let our other parties answer that one a little bit more. But but I do want to say what has started bothering me more over the last couple years, and maybe I've always experienced it, but I'm paying attention to it more recently, where people will say, "Oh, you own the business? Well, do you own the business with your husband? Oh, did your father leave you the business?" And so I'm in a very male-dominated field as like a finance person. I mean, I'm not talking to people about the flowery aspects of their business. I'm talking to them about 5-year models or break-even analysis. How much are they paying for their products or services? So I think for sometimes, not even the older men in the room, it could be men, in my opinion, they're 5, 10 years younger than me, that are like, "Oh, did you inherit that from your dad?" I'm like, what? So that bugs me more than even the hitting on. But go ahead, ladies.
Okay, good. Now, how about you, Kristie?
I want to know what I've been missing. I've never been hit on.
Steve's people. The likeliness you're going to get hit on.
I can also be that blind. I might actually not know that I'm getting hit on, but no, it's never happened to me. And I'm like, at the same token, I'm like, why hasn't it? And now I'm thinking, I can't wait to get to the next happy hour.
No, so have you also but run into that people are like, oh, you've been a realtor for 20 years? Do you run into that? Like as Stacey said, people like,
no.
Does your husband have it? No.
No, and I do think Stacey's in an industry where once she said it, and I think financial partners who have are females probably the same kind of question as well. I don't get it because surprisingly, the female population is very dominating in real estate. We're the larger amount of agents versus men. So, and especially in residential. Now, commercial is a different one. And commercial is a whole nother beast that's not even worth getting into, but that's like my old life. So I never have a problem walking into a room and I'd be an only woman. Sometimes I sit there and go, oh, wait, I am the only one here. And the guys will point that out. Not so much like, it's not me. I really don't care. So no, I've never been hit on. I don't get any sexist comments about what I do for work. And wow, yeah. How about you, Grace?
Now we made Kristie feel bad because it's like she's gonna sit there, gonna sleep, and she's like, "Why didn't I get a hit on?" Remember that old commercial? She never drinks another cup of coffee at home. You're like, "Oh, why am I getting a hit on? I'm going to the wrong events." So now we're gonna see singles night for networking. Kristie, I'm going for Christ's sake. If they don't hit on me, I'm never fucking networking again. Never. I'm done. I'm out. Anyway, Grace, what is your experience with this whole situation?
So, oh my gosh, Kristie, you're making me laugh. They're like, I'm ready for the next one though, because these sound like they're getting good. No, I mean, look, Steve, I'd be lying if I said that wasn't something that's out there. But like, I think for me, like, I just don't entertain that. Like, I'm married. I have a wedding ring on. If anyone ever, put out that vibe to me, I'm moving on to the next one in the room. Like, I don't entertain it at one iota. So, I think it's the world we live in, whether you're a man or you're a woman, just like Stacey said, there's women out there who are looking to poach men at events. I mean, sure. And does it happen? It happens all the time. Sure. People are leaving Coop's events, going home together for all I know. I'm not. I'm happily married with 2 kids. And I kind of think, like it's not my vibe to that would be inappropriate, and I would just totally shut that down immediately. So yeah, I hope I answered that well. I'm glad I went last. That was a loaded question. I had to really put my thinking cap on for it.
Oh, that's just because I notice it sometimes. I hear it from guys going, "Oh, it took her." I'm like, "Really, dude?" It's like, because I always tell people, luckily I have a very beautiful wife, because if I didn't, I fall into the creepy old guy demographic, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, like, "Hey, baby, hey, how you doing?" I fall into that. But people know I'm harmless because I'm married to Joanne. But I see guys checking women out. I'm like, dude, like, she could be your daughter. And then they get a picture with her, like, "Hey, look at me." And Stacey knows I took a picture with her and Karen Niv. I would have put my arms around them because I don't want to look like a creep. I said, "I'm going to stand right here. I don't even want to stand
You
in
said,
the
I'm
middle."
not standing in the middle. I'm not going to be that guy.
I'm
That
not,
was
I'm not
great.
going to be. It's right. You never want to be that guy.
Yes.
So let's ask you, you've all been doing great in business. And, I used to ask this as someone in your life that's been important to you, but I want to change it. And I've been changing this lately to, in the last year or two, or year or 2 or 3, who is someone, and we'll start with you, Grace, who is someone who's played a very important part in your business life and your business development?
Yeah. Well, I have a business coach that I talk to around the clock. So, that's helped me with like the mental side of this business, because like I said, this business can be heavy mentally with the amount of rejection, especially early on. But just someone to help me day to day to really like just keep my head right, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, that's like my go-to person. And to be quite honest, like I just got my husband a mentor in the last week, because I'm like, I don't know how people do this without a mentor. Like, in order to kind of get out of your head and get into the world, like it's so important to have either that friend or that mentor in business that you can just kind of get whatever it is out of your system that day, share that, and then like put it down and move on. And I'm like a big sharer. That's super cathartic for me. I think most of us tend to feel better after we've shared. So just like having that safe space to be able to do a little verbal vomiting each day. I mean, I like to get that out of my system. And I feel like it was hurting my marriage to just do it to my husband every day. So like having a coach to lean into, I don't know how I'd be here, Steve, if I didn't have that person, the coach.
Okay. How about you, Kristie? In the last year or 2 or 3, who's someone's been important to your development in business? It could be your personal development or your business itself.
I would say that the person who helped me get to Coldwell Banker is another agent, and she has been my word. Just throughout the years, before coming to Coldwell Banker, and we've been friends. We have our next to each other, and that's what's important to me. That overly you can still rely on people and still there to help you.
Okay. All right. How about you, Stacey?
So when you asked the question, I had probably 8 people that were flying through my head, and I cannot answer this, because if I say any one of them, I'm then going to be up all night saying, why didn't I say this person, this person, this person? There's, including yourself, Steve, there are so many people that I turn to, and you know some of the people that I'm thinking of, right? Dr. Dawn Pachera that was on your show, Karen Niv, my husband, Paul Linderman, like, so there's, I mean, my mother-in-law, there's so many, and I shouldn't have said any of them, because then I'm gonna lay in bed tonight and go, why didn't I say my mom or my sister? Or I've been so fortunate. Like we said early in the show, I think I'm really giving with trying to help people holistically, and just from a very pure place. There's so John Cruz, like there's so many people. I shouldn't have said any, because there are just I just have been so blessed with people like stepping up and going, are you going to do this? What about this? Keep going. A dear friend Meredith Stein that lives around the corner, Tim Medini. Like I could be at the Oscars now giving a list of people. I feel so lucky.
Well, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to text you. Did you
Yeah.
forgot such and such? You forgot
Oh,
this
I
person
know.
just to drive you crazy. No, I'm going to do. I'm going to
Just to
say,
drive me
hey,
crazy.
Stacey, you know what? I told someone that you didn't mention them,
Nancy
and now
Simero.
they're
Like
pissed at you.
that is what's going to happen. I'm going to be like, oh my God, I cannot believe I didn't mention Bengalati. I can't believe I didn't mention. And a lot of my clients are just like, I had an retainer client this last year that was a big sales agreement, but the owner. We've just become so close, and just watching him and mentoring each other. I it's yeah, this is a tough one because I could be, it's like being at the Emmys, not mentioning
Okay,
your
well, that's good.
kids.
All right. Well, here I want this next question because we have two more questions. I want this next question to be a one sentence question, one sentence answer. Okay, we'll start with you, Stacey. What is happiness to you?
Security, peace.
Okay, Grace.
What is happiness to me? Happiness is having control over um, how I manage my day and the people that I get to spend my time with, and being able to be with the ones that I love.
Okay, and how about you, Kristie?
My dog,
Your
she makes
dog?
me happy. That's happy. Yes.
All right.
Carmela, KB2.
See, that's good. All right. So here's the final question. Final question of the day. All been great. Um, Someone comes up to you and they want advice. How do you figure all this out? Whether they're just out of school, they're a young, maybe, a young professional, changing jobs, or just someone who just is like confused, and they want to know what's the key. What would you tell people? How you do? What do you do to succeed? What would you tell them, Grace? What would someone comes to you as you're in a mentor role? What do you tell them?
Find the thing that, makes you tick, whether it's a service or a product that you can get behind, and turn down the noise. That's been the biggest hurdle, is the chatter and the naysayers and the people that will poke holes in you and all the people in the cheap seats. That's from the Brene Brown quote, but just being able to kind of get out of your head, stop listening to the people around you, and just like take that bet on yourself and don't look back, because that's where the good stuff happens.
Okay, Kristie, what's advice you give?
There's a great book called Do What You Love, and I didn't read it, and I should have a long time ago when I was trying to figure out what to do. Do What You Love, and also there's another one with about networking. Have lunch, like having lunch and meeting people. Education's the other piece that I think is really important too. I think too many people think that being an entrepreneur is something that you just do it, like Grace said, find a product or something you can get behind. And it's so easy because they don't understand what Stacey does. Be it you have to do QuickBooks, and you have to understand what it is to be in business for yourself and all the moving parts. So I think education is the other piece. Really.
Okay, how about you, Stacey?
Don't be afraid of failure. I think if I was less afraid even 10 years ago, um, I'm an analytics person. So I'm always like, well, if this happens, this is going to happen. And this is happening. Like, and I live in fear of so much, but great things don't happen out of being afraid.
That's
Okay.
a good one.
Well, this has been great. You all gave some great advice. So, Grace, how can people get in touch with you, and how can they find out more about the Collingswood, Haddonfield, Haddon Heights? There's gonna be like 7 next time I talk. There's gonna be like 7, and you won't be able to show because it'll take too long. So, how do you find out about your lifestyle publication? Is that right? Lifestyle publication.
Yeah, I would say so. Lifestyle publication. You can look me up on LinkedIn, Grace Hopper. You can look us up on Instagram, Collingswood Living. Yeah, those are probably the best ways, or Facebook, but I would say look LinkedIn or Instagram.
How about you, KB? How can they get in touch with you? Oh, you froze just as you're going to do your pitch.
Oh,
We lost you, Kristie. People, reach out to Kristie Bergey at Coldwell Banker. She's on LinkedIn. She's on Facebook. Look her up. I believe she has a website. Just reach out to her. And if you want her contact, if you want to sell your house, get in touch with me at the Coop Tank. Now we can. I just gave you a pitch. Are you there?
So kbexperience.com.
kbexperience.com. There you go, people. Look up kbexperience.com. And Stacey, how can they get in touch with you?
our hashtag is A6FinBiz. You could literally search that, anywhere on the web, and hopefully it'll lead you to our different content. But definitely, definitely LinkedIn, like you said. But put in there that you saw me on the Coop Tank. I don't. You didn't ask us what bugs us. The LinkedIn sales are really bugging me right now. So yeah, put in how you met me. But yeah, LinkedIn, our A6 website, which is just www.a6finbiz.com. There's a contact us form, and I love new friends. So.
All right. So people, reach out to them. Also, you can reach out to me at the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. You know, if you're a business owner and you want some good social media clips, I can sit there, besides this show, you can go to the coopertalk.net where I've interviewed, God, I've 1,030 interviews with people from, rock stars to Emmy winners to Oscar winners, and then Coop's Comedy Corner, my other show you can find on YouTube. But I know how to do an interview. So now what I'm doing with my buddy Joe Gangemi from SuiteRecording, who is the best producer around. That's why I come to him. We're doing, if you want an interview, I will sit down. We can do it remote or in studio. I'll do a 15 to 20-minute interview with you. And then Joe will produce it, and he will cut you one 5-minute video, which is perfect for short social media clips. So if you're interested in that, reach to me at the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. It's not cheap. It's not pricey. I'm going to say I'm a professional. I'm not going to sit there. I'm not some asshole who sits there and goes, oh, I'm an international podcaster, because everyone's international because the internet's everywhere. I'm someone who has a great reputation. I have Earworthy just said I'm the best in the business. They said, you may have heard of Joe Rogan and a few other people, but Steve Cooper's one of the best interviewers out there. So if you want that, reach out to me. Also, just reach out to me and reach out to SuiteRecording, because, SuiteRecording is great. Joe, go to hello at SuiteRecording, SUITE recording.com. Joe is so much more than a podcast studio. He's streaming, build studios. He's building a studio on next week. So reach out to him and keep watching the show. Go to YouTube, watch the Coop Tank, listen to the Coop Tank. And that's about it. So I want to have a good weekend. You're going to have a good weekend. And I'll talk to you all next week.